I'm going to tell you how you can motivate your students to come to camp. It is a daunting thing to talk about. I'm sure it's a harder thing to do. And I'm going to say up front, so I set expectations realistically, no magic bullets. If there was, I'd be making a lot more money if I could tell you here is a surefire way to motivate students. But I will have a go at it, and I'd be interested in your feedback during the session or afterwards. If a student says, why should I go to camp? Obviously, they're not that keen on the idea. Just quickly, what are some of the most common objections you find from your students about coming to camp? About why they don't want to come? Money's one? Yep. Sorry? Oh, I don't like ground. Oh, can't imagine why. Okay, yep. Hot showers? Don't they have hot showers here? Oh, okay. Yep, so hot showers? Phone reception, yes. Genuine apathy? So is it just a more, I can't be bothered, whatever, that type of attitude? All right. Any other really big ones? Sorry? Commitments? Yeah, okay, yep, so getting away for the week. Yep. Sorry, what was another one? Work? Yeah, part-time job. Yep. So, a lot of things going on for kids. I'm not going to deal with all of those today, but maybe some of the things we talk about will prompt you, being on the coalface, to think about it a bit more clearly. I reckon the most obvious answer when a kid says, why should I go to camp, is so you don't miss out. Now, not saying you should say those exact words, but I guess if I try to think about what's the one simple message I'd want to convey to a kid, and as a youth worker, I didn't run school camps, but I ran youth camps, and if I was, particularly kids who were really in need of going to camp, I just knew getting them out of their circumstances into an intentional community could make a huge difference for them. Often, very reluctant. But to say to them, so you don't miss out. And I reckon it plays to teenagers' mindsets, to the fact of adolescence. So I've always said to theory, adolescence is like gravity, just work with it, don't work against it, it's a lot easier. So when you say, so you don't miss out, it picks up on some of those key themes of adolescence. It's egocentric. It's all about them and them getting something. It's not about what you do, it's not about what happens for their education, it's not about making their parents happy, it's so you don't miss out. It's also an element of exclusivity about it. You don't miss out. You don't want to miss this. This is a scarce opportunity. If you miss out on this, you could be the one that's left out. Now, you don't say it like that, but that's that adolescent need to be on the inside, need to be up with it. So it's about scarcity, it's about egocentric nature, and it's also about getting something for them. It's what it's got to be about. And I'm going to say it a few times today. You are going to be dazzled today, I'm sure, with all the great opportunities. And for those of you who come, there's all these wonderful development KPIs that you can hit for students and educationally sound things that happen when you do outdoor education, experiential learning. Most teenagers just don't care. You've got to tell them what's in it for them. And you've got to think about them as being teenagers, not adults. Now, I know I'm preaching to the converted. I get that you people work with them every day. But still, when it comes to, really basic marketing, of which I'm not a marketer, you've still got to be pitching your call to those who you want to respond. We could all tell each other different reasons why we want to be camp coordinators. You may have your own reasons for wanting to come. Maybe you've just been made to come. But for the rest of you, you have your own reasons for wanting to come. Won't be the same as a teenager. You may know the benefits. Peter and Neil and the team may know the benefits. But a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, a 17-year-old may not be as convinced of the benefits. And the benefits, I want to say, have to be all about them. Also, I want to point out, just as we kick off, that for any group of students, and you guys love bell curves because you're all educationalists, there's going to be some at my left of the bell curve who are going to want to come no matter what. You don't have to convince them. You just say, there's a camp on, you don't have to go to class for 4 days, boom. Don't care what it is. Don't care if we're shoveling pig manure. I'm going. That'll be great. At the other end, you're going to have the students who, no matter what, guys, if you come to camp, you'll get $1 million. No, don't want to. Now, for some, it could be very legitimate reasons. There could be real physical limitations, there could be real emotional issues, it could just be a real fear of actually leaving a very secure environment, particularly for younger teenagers. Those fears can be very real. They're always going to say no. No matter what amount of inducement you give them, it's going to be hard. So what you're trying to do as coordinators and to get some energy is that big majority in the middle. Those who are undecided, who could go either way. That's what you're trying to do. I had a thought on the plane this morning on the way up actually. What would be a silver bullet way to do it? And I'd love someone to test this out if they could, if you get the chance. Most of you won't, but if you get the chance. I have this theory that if you got up on assembly or you send home a note saying, camp at Maroon is no longer going to be offered at this school. As a staff, we've decided that much time away from the important task of face-to-face teaching and learning is just too big a sacrifice. We don't believe there's a benefit in it. Now, I reckon if you said, so therefore, we're going to ban outdoor educational camps from this school, I reckon that is the best way to motivate teenagers to want to come to camp. Because then what you do is you start an anonymous Facebook page which says, bring back our camp. And you just subtly let it be made known that there's this Facebook page. And I reckon it would work, and kids would start going on. They'd like it. They'd start putting up comments. They'd start making derogatory comments about the staff and all of you and how slack you are and how you've got no idea and how you're all a bunch of fuddy-duddies and boring. And then what you do is, once you've got all these comments and you've got all these likes, you change your mind. And you send a note to all the kids who have left a comment on the Facebook page saying, glad to see that you're interested in camp. Here's your enrolment form and your permission note. It's on this date. I'd love someone to try it. Any volunteers? Come on. Guaranteed. Anyway, one way to do it. But what we're trying to do, we're trying to capture that big majority who can go either way. So I think one of the big things to do about not missing out is social proof. Social proof, that is, you don't want to read about how it's a great idea, and we all want it. This is just basic marketing, isn't it? You don't want to just hear the words on the brochure that tell you how good it is. You are more confident in buying into something when someone you know and or respect says, yep, it's as good as the brochure says, or it's better, or I loved it for this reason. So I reckon it's important in a school community to start getting social proof. And what is the best social proof? Is it going to come from you? No. I see today's going one of those real good rhetorical question days. No, it's not going to come from you. It's going to come from students. You need students who are enthusiasts. Every great movement needs an enthusiast. And I want to suggest to you today that you think about motivating kids to come to camp as something bigger than just a one-off event. I want to suggest to you that you actually create a culture in your school where camp becomes something that is really, really important. Something that is esteemed amongst the students. So therefore, every year, the task actually gets easier and not harder. And I can see you all sitting there with this look of disbelief, thinking the world is going the other way, this is not going to get easier. I want to suggest to you, I think it can get easier, but you have to be intentional about it. With that in mind, I just want to show you a quick video, and I'm going to pop out a frame. I'll just keep talking so you know that I'm here. And some of you may have seen this video. It's by a guy called Derek Sivers. It was a TED Talk, and it's not exactly on what we're talking about, but I think it'll give you some insights into enthusiasts and how culture can develop.
If you've learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. So it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, The first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut, and it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers, because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point, and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is over-glorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
All right, so there you go. So how many people here feel like the lone nut when they go back to school trying to convince kids? There's a tip. Take your shirt off. It might work better. That was a joke. But you need enthusiasts. And you need students who are enthusiasts. So the best weapon you have about getting other kids excited about camp is kids who have already been and who have loved it. I know it sounds straightforward, but how often are you doing it? Getting kids up in front of the school and letting them tell everybody else how much fun they had at camp, how good it was. And don't just get 1 or 2 enthusiasts up, because what you don't want to do is have enthusiasts who sort of, stir up the 10 or 20% that were already coming no matter what and absolutely alienate those who are undecided. So you don't get the bloke up there who said, "Oh man, I had a wicked time, it was so good. We were out in the middle of nowhere and it just bucketed down rain for like a day and a half. And Billy's stuff, oh mate, it got absolutely saturated. It was so funny, eh? And these toilets we were digging, they were just filling up and the stink and we were wet. Oh man, it was filth fun, eh? It was so good." Because then you've just alienated not only all the females, but you've also alienated all the boys who want to grow up and wear black t-shirts, have lattes and play on their Mac computers. None of them are going to want to go either. So you want to have enthusiasts, so you've got to be careful about the enthusiasts you get up there. But they are going to be the ones that make the difference. And this particularly works well, and I know it's different for different schools, but if you are running a program for your senior kids, so in Queensland, like your year 11s, maybe your year 10s even, if I start in, do I start in year 7 in Queensland still? High school? Next year I do? Great. I was looking forward to getting to year 7. If I start in year 7, I'm going to hear for 4 years, every year, about how good it is. And when I'm in year 7, year 11s are like God. I so want to be like one of them. And so from very early on in my school career, camp is something that is cemented as something that I want to get to. It becomes like a mini rite of passage within the school program itself. Now, it's not up there with having your first date or getting your driver's license, but if you sell it well, it really could be. So you need to get enthusiasts, you need to give them visibility. So get the whole year up there. I don't know, whatever it works, and I realise different schools have different restrictions and different ethos about how things work, but however it works in your school, get the kids to do the selling for you. And as you get your enthusiasts, and you start to do this for a little while, you'll actually start to develop a culture. You develop a culture that at Maroon High School, we love camp. Camp is something that is just part of this school, and if you're a student, one of your rites of passage in this school is having gone to this camp and come back with your stories and your mementos. And that's what's important, because what builds culture? What is culture? I'll answer it, don't worry. Culture is all about having artifacts that become symbolic of value, of meaning, of stories. So you don't want to just have enthusiasts who get up there and tell the story. You want to have enthusiasts who get up there in, some really daggy camp t-shirt, but because it's so daggy and they're so enthusiastic, that daggy camp t-shirt suddenly becomes cool again and becomes something to aspire to. You want to have images. You want to have sounds. You want to have stories. You want to have stories, but we'll come to that later. You need to create the culture. And as you create the culture, slowly, camp becomes one of the highlights of the school calendar. Now, I'm not sure how it works, and I realise you've got to book it in advance, and you may not get it at the same time every year. But I remember, and I know it's a long time ago, but when I was at high school in New South Wales, we went on our sport and rec camp, we called it, in year 11. And we went down to Jindabyne, which is down in the snow, except the year we went, it was in summer. But it was still fun, and it was something that you look forward to. And I know it was a different world, and when we were teenagers, the world was different, and it was probably better, but it can still work. If you are consistent about promoting the enthusiasts, about building a culture, camp becomes one of the highlights. It becomes a highlight that happens before the formals, before the end of year celebrations. Just as big a highlight as the athletics carnival or the swimming carnival is to the sporty kids. You create it, you promote it, you get the kids to sell it, you build a culture around it. Wouldn't it be great is if when you get up and say, and this year's camp, and you get this little woo from the year 10 group that are about to go on it. That's the type of response you want, because then a lot of your work is done for you. I agree, the ones in the red, the no's, that 10, 20% that are never going to come, they're never going to go woo until you say you don't have to go. Then they'll go woo. But other than that, they won't do it. But this middle group, if they have heard it, if they've seen the kids they look up to come back and they're a tighter group and they're having more fun and they've got all these great stories, your job is going to be so much easier about building a culture and making it a highlight. Does anyone have any questions? Please butt in. Or not, I will keep going. But please butt in at any point. The other thing I reckon you want to stress, again, it's not about development KPIs, it's not about educational outcomes for teenagers, it's about their mates. Now, I don't care what era you lived in, I'm sure most of you will agree, teenagers and their peers. There is nothing tighter, there is nothing more important to an adolescent than their peers. Telling a young person that they get to spend 4 days with their mates uninterrupted by having to go home, and it can be in real FaceTime, not cyber time, real time, 4 days. When I was a teenager, I couldn't think of anything better. Just hanging out with my mates, no parents. Part of telling the stories, part of creating the culture is to emphasise the friendship and the real nature of the friendship. Now, this isn't perfect, I realise, because kids are going to be mates with people on years either side of them, or they'll be going out with someone from another school, and heaven help you if you ever have to separate a boyfriend or a girlfriend when they're 16, because that's like a terminal illness. So this doesn't overcome that problem, but it definitely makes it easier. And the selling point is you get to spend time with your mates. And not only do you get to spend time with your mates, you will create stories with your mates. Now, I want to talk about creating stories, not creating memories. Old people like us value memories. Young people value stories. The language matters. I know it sounds semantic, but I guarantee you it matters. Don't talk to a teenager about creating memories, because I say, what do I want to create a memory for? I want to have an experience here and now. So you want to create stories, and you've got to sell it or talk about it in a way that says, this is a chance for you and your mates to go away, and gee, you're going to have some stories to come back and tell. And again, that message is backed up if they've seen year after year other guys and girls get up and tell a funny story. Not one of those ones where they get wet and drown and catch pneumonia, but a funny story about them enjoying friendship together. Now, Not always perfect. None of this is foolproof. But I guarantee that is an easier way to say it than, and guess what? You get to go on a climbing wall. Because those who are attracted by the climbing wall are the 10 or 20% that are already convinced that are going to come no matter what. They're the outdoor junkies. They're the guys who want to grow up and work here. They're the guys who just will do anything to get out of a classroom. A climbing wall will not sell the other 70%. What will sell will be you and your mates, you and your friends, you and the girls mucking around on the climbing wall and having a laugh and having some fun and creating stories that you can tell when you come back. That's what will make the difference, I think. But not only do you create stories, you will also have the opportunity to target people in terms of a whole peer group. So if you're trying to think about friends, one of the obstacles for not wanting to come, it's actually not Facebook and the phone, it's what Facebook and the phone represent. They represent connection, to the peer group. And I know there's thousands of books and thousands of people going around speaking about, teenagers and the internet these days, but it's really very simple. All that's happening is technology is facilitating a connectedness that has always existed amongst adolescents. The desire to be with your peers and to not miss out. So hence you turn around and say, come along so you don't miss out. If all your friends are at camp and not on Facebook, then there's no point you being on Facebook. You are missing out on the stuff that is happening in real life. And the best way I know to get a whole peer group to come on camp is to convince the leaders of the peer group to come on camp. It's just economical. Instead of convincing 10 kids, convince one. Let them convince the rest. Now, you've all seen it. There are just kids who are in the playground, who are in the classroom, who are natural leaders. You may not approve, you may think they're a bad influence, whatever. Other kids, though, congregate around the one or two who are the natural leaders for whatever reason, their charisma, their talent, their sheer size, whatever it might be. Target them. It's a strategy we use in youth outreach programs all the time. You can't get this group of kids to engage, just work with one kid. Work with the one that they all look to. Engage him, and as soon as he validates you, you're validated with the rest. It's that social proof thing in a microcosm. So target the key kids, and you'll find you get the whole group. Once you get the whole group coming, then there's a lot less for them to need there's a lot less reason for them to need their phone or to need to be on Facebook, because all the people they chat to are going to be there. And if I'm actually missing out on what they're doing there, it doesn't matter what I'm keeping up with on Facebook, because I get a sense that all the action is going to be happening over here. So you want to convince the leaders. And guys, this is really obvious. It's just got to be about fun. Cannot say it enough. I actually did hear someone, again, in a youth work context once, try to get kids to come. It was just a weekend away, but try to come to a weekend away. And they listed off all this stuff that was about this weekend away. They never once mentioned it was going to be fun. The most overstimulated generation in history needs to believe that what you're inviting them to is going to be entertaining, that they are going to not be bored. Because what is a teenager's worst fear these days? It's boredom. What's an adult's worst fear these days? Probably the same thing. Hence, we can't stand in line without checking our social media feeds. We're all the same. We wake up first thing in the morning, we have to check our Facebook, we have to check our email. We are stimulated beyond comprehension. So just get up and try and sell an experience which is all about the outdoors and being away from it all. If you sell it as being disconnected, if you sell it about being, somewhere other than where stimulation, where excitement, where it's all happening, you're creating a barrier for yourself, I think. Just emphasize that it's fun. And again, it's not scary fun, it's just fun. It's fun with your friends. And let the enthusiasts who've come back, listen to them talk, and you'll learn what the fun things are. Because we all know what a year 9 kid thinks is fun versus what you and I think is fun is very, very different. Okay? So we're probably quite happy just to get the hot Milo when we get back, sit down, have that hot shower and think, gee, that feels good just to sit down and have a cuppa. It's not going to sell it for a teenager, is it? What are they saying was a fun thing? What are the stories they're repeating? They're the type of stories you want to capture. They're the type of stories you want to run with. Now, choices. We all know that when you're working with teenagers, there are some things you say and offers you make or feedback you give that's okay to give to the big group. There's other types of feedback and other types of messages that only really work one-on-one. You all get that idea, don't you? There's no point in the middle of class and tough, little Johnny up the back, and you say to Johnny, I've noticed that you're really, really perceptive. That you seem to see what's happening for lots of other people. I reckon that'll make you a really caring guy. You could really do something for other people if you just took that gift and you ran with it. If you nurtured that talent, Johnny, I reckon you could be a real standout leader and a caring guy. That is not the thing you say to Johnny from the front of the class, is it? Because if you do, please don't. Because if you do, you've just made the next 6 months for Johnny very, very hard. However, taking Johnny aside, and if he's the big tough kid, if he's the one who's always trying to overcompensate for some self-esteem issue, and to say to him, Johnny, I know you're this big tough guy, but I actually noticed that you watch people really carefully, and you're very good at sensing what's happening in a room at any point. I think that gives you a lot of power. And you can choose to use that power however you want. I just want to let you know it's there. That's a far different conversation to have. Now, you've all got your own examples of when that's worked and when you may have made the other mistake. I've got my examples. Choices, this is about when you're talking to the kid one-on-one. So this isn't some strategy that you can use for the whole school. Talking to the kids one-on-one. And you know the kids who you think, I've just got to get them to camp. Camp will make a real difference. And I'm not saying it's going to be all of them. I don't think you'll think that about a majority of your students. But there'll be you, and other teachers may have different kids. You want to get them to camp. I think one of the best things you can do for them, and if they're on the fence, give them a choice. Now, we said before, or Peter said before, when you talk about camp, you've got to talk about the fact that it is risky. And yes, it is risky, and for the 20% who always want to come, that's part of the reason they want to come. But if you give the kids who are uncertain only the risk message, well then you might tip them the wrong side of the fence. You want to tip them over. And the way you make risk safer is by saying the risk is your choice. You have a say in the amount of risk that you're going to incur. If I'm asked to do something risky, I'm always going to feel better about it if I actually own the risk myself. Same's true for you. If I choose to take the risk, there's just something innately safer about the choice than me doing something risky purely because you want me to. Give the teenager a sense that, yep, camp's going to be on the edge a bit. It'll put you in a context you haven't been in before. But you know what? You can moderate it. Just like you don't have to go up the hardest climbing wall, just like you don't have to drop off the deepest abseiling ravine or, jump off the trapeze at high ropes, you can moderate your risk. And I know the program here, they do their very best to try and give a sense of gradation to the amount of risks that people can take. So in that one-on-one conversation, if it's the risk thing, give kids a sense of safety by saying you own the choice. Yes, there's a program, but you've got choices within that program. And wouldn't it be great for you to actually think through and make your own choices? And as you're doing that, you're stressing that they have control. Choice gives me control. Remember what it was like to be a teenager? Remember how out of control it felt sometimes? And how much energy went into presenting the very opposite to the rest of the world? Maybe for some of you it was your first year of teaching. It was a similar feeling, feeling very out of control but always trying to present professional. You've got to get back in that headspace of students, which I know you live with every day, but just remind yourself again how much anxiety, how much personal insecurity is going on. And on top of that insecurity, you're going to ask them to step away from the security blankets of the phone and instant messaging and their comfortable TV and their Xbox or whatever it is, and you're going to make the anxiety worse. That's real. For the group who are undecided, that's the type of choice you're going to make. I feel insecure, don't use the words, but I feel insecure. I'm self-conscious enough. I'm just holding this together. I am one stupid word away from being a social pariah. And you're going to make me just face-to-face with people without the things I used to protect myself. Give them a sense of control. Yep, come away. Yep, it'll be confronting, but you know what? You've got choices. You can choose when you want to participate. You can choose how much you participate. We'll even try and give you some choice about who you go away with. I think that's right, isn't it? They get some saying it. Yep. So just the sense, just the knowledge that there will be choices, I think makes it safer. And again, the one-on-one chat, the opportunity. The kid who you just know is the diamond in the rough. The one you know for all the bravado or for all the girly silliness and the bimbo act they put on or whatever it is, you know that is someone of quality who just needs to get the feedback or to see themselves as they really are. And getting them out of their everyday environment would be just the ticket. It's great. Then offer them the opportunity. If you know them, say it honestly to them. You know, this really could change your life. I reckon you struggle in this environment to be who you really want to be. Go away. Go somewhere different where everybody's on a level playing field. And I want to challenge you. Choose differently. Because to some kids, the challenge will be the big deal. Challenge them to choose differently. This is an opportunity for you. An opportunity to have the say, to be the person, to be the leader that you always wanted to be, but you just can't quite work it out. Tell them about the staff here and how good they are. These are the experts at helping you develop your potential. This isn't the thing you say to the whole group, just the thing you say to the one-on-one kids. Give them choices. And essentially, you're allaying fears in all of that. What are their fears? If the fears are explicit, don't lie. Don't say, oh no, there's no risk. Nah. Oh no, it's really comfortable. Yes, they're dirt toilets, but they got not warm plastic padded seats. Don't tell lies about it. But try and give them a sense of they're in control. And yes, it's scary, but it's not out of the world scary. It's not out of control scary. You can have a choice in it. The last thing I wanted to say is all of this is not going to mean a great deal at all if you guys aren't enthused about it. I'm looking at you. You look like a group of people who want to be here. Well, not for this bit, but you look like you want to be here at camp. Thank you for putting up with me. But you've got to be genuine. And you know that. They'll sniff someone who's phony a mile away. Don't get your principal up to sell it if you know your principal wouldn't be caught dead at a place like this. You've got to sell it. And if you've got a buddy on staff who is just as keen as you, or you've got a group of you, then you guys can be the enthusiasts too. And particularly for senior kids, this makes a big difference. I remember my camp and actually hiking up one of those ridiculously long mountains. It's very hot in summer in New South Wales, and actually starting to have an adult conversation to a teacher who'd been in my high school for years. Geez, I felt like a bit of a grown-up at that point. Didn't act like a grown-up, but it felt good just to be with, I think it was my PE teacher. And we just chatted for 20 minutes. I always remember that conversation. You guys can be the enthusiasts. The kids then become the first followers. Or reverse, the kids start some cultural thing about camp, some celebration of camp that doesn't violate any decency rules or anything like that, that you can participate in too. Then you become the first follower. What does that do to a student body? The kids, the students are setting the trend and the teachers are joining in. Who wouldn't want to be part of that trend-setting group? You've got to be enthusiastic. You need to be genuine. Now, I realise all of this nice-sounding stuff doesn't solve the problem of going to work. Got a part-time job. Got a 17th birthday party I really need to. Or family's doing it tough, they don't have the money. Don't know how it works with money. I know in youth programs we used to go out and get sponsorship. We used to just go and get sponsors and say, and we'd sell them all the development opportunities, the real hardcore stuff, and say to them, are you happy to provide sponsorship? You don't declare who the sponsorship goes to, but every year in your presentation or whatever, your presentation day, your awards day, they get a write-up for contributing and helping camp run. If you put it on the calendar early enough and it becomes a big enough deal over time, I've seen it where kids will actually change the dates. So if my birthday's on the Wednesday, I've got two choices when I can have my 17th birthday. If I know that we're going to be away on camp, I'll have it, the weekend either side of it. They'll change it. If it becomes regular, if you get the date out there, treat it like a campaign. And every year it just gets easier. I know you're teachers, I know you've got a real job to do, but a little bit consistently and maximise it when people come home. Give it a push at the start of the year and a couple of months out, start it, just little things. Just let it build. Think of it as a campaign.
That's it.
Pull the rope up. Pull the rope up.
They're not trying to pull you up. You got to swing.
Yeah, I can't pull it more.
I can't.
Keenan, stand right behind the boys.
Huh?